This is the Gaza Strip, 365 square kilometers wide. Everything looks normal. People in the streets, students in schools. The whole movement looks normal, but underneath it all, there is something concealed from the world, hidden in all its details, but is known for its influence. Beneath this city lies another one, in the most eloquent description of this secret tunnel network, on which the Palestinian resistance depends in its fight against Israel. The series of operations that it carried out through these underground tunnels caused a great shock to the occupation and confused its calculations. And it became a safe network of transportation for the resistance fighters that enabled them to penetrate beyond the borders of Gaza. While Israel fears that it will turn into a weapon that enables the resistance to infiltrate the occupied territories and carry out operations against soldiers and settlers, which prompted Israel to declare it a strategic threat and trying to neutralize it for 2 decades. But this has always failed. We spend all our lives underground. We stay for days or weeks underground. We dig, work hard, and put all our powers, efforts, and times, all for God's sake. Resistance tunnels in Gaza. How and why did Israel fail to destroy them? With the outbreak of the Second Intifada, the resistance began using tunnels as a weapon against the occupation nearly 2 decades ago. The most prominent beginning was when the resistance blew up a tunnel beneath the Israeli military base of Tarmin, near the borders between Egypt and Gaza, which resulted in the killing of 2 Israeli soldiers, and that was the start of the tunnel warfare. As this type of operations continued, targeting border sites, checkpoints adjacent to the Gaza Strip, and firing of rocket-propelled grenades. After 5 years, the resistance carried out an operation first of its kind by infiltrating through a tunnel inside the fortifications of the occupation in the east of Rafah Governorate, which led to the killing of 2 Israeli soldiers and the wounding of 5. And the capture of the soldier Gilad Shalit. The capture of Shalit was a milestone in the history of the conflict and represented the fruit of the tunnels that paid off. After 5 years of his detention, Shalit was released as part of the historic and remarkable True Promise of Freeman deal. With the outbreak of the Israeli aggression in 2014, it became clear that the resistance prepared an underground infrastructure where it dug sophisticated offensive combat tunnels that are used to carry out military incursions and extend into the occupied Palestinian territories, and other defensive combat tunnels inside the Gaza Strip. From these tunnels branch out dozens of entrances and exits that are used to counter land invasions, as well as artillery and missile tunnels, which are small pits in the ground equipped with cannons and launchers. Change of course. The tunnels became a strategic weapon in the face of the occupation, and it posed a military dilemma for its commanders. It completely changed the course of confrontation and created a tactic that facilitates access to the battlefield, launching of strikes and imprisoning soldiers, especially when the martyrdom operations stopped for years due to the Israeli security plan in the West Bank. But there were some operations in Gaza during a certain period thanks to the tunnels, as they represented a way of the arrival of martyrs to gatherings of soldiers, whether inside or outside the borders, and they were able to carry out their operations from a zero distance. This is what Israel feared. Yet despite the occupation's plans to invade Gaza, it became difficult under the presence of an underground city of armed tunnels. Military experts agree that the tunnels have severely damaged the effectiveness of the Israeli Air Force, as it became impossible for it to reach its goals. There is no doubt that the tunnels have enabled Gaza to overcome the geographical nature, since the Strip of Gaza is characterized by its flat coastal land, which restricts the movement of the resistance and prevents it from maneuvering overground. Attempt of destruction. Israel has been making great efforts for years to bypass the threat of cross-border resistance attack tunnels, starting huge engineering projects aimed at uncovering and destroying them. Among its plans to install a sensor system to uncover tunnels along the borders of Gaza that would enable Israel to receive warnings concerning the excavation work and determining their location. Additionally, Israel built a 60 kilometers land barrier, both underground and above, along the border with Gaza as an anti-tunnel measure. The project costs about 3 billion Israeli shekels. The land barrier was equipped with advanced technology in order to notify the occupation in case of tunnels construction or to detect any approaches that aims to destroy the barriers. On the other hand, the Palestinians pay a great cost in lives if a number of resistance fighters were martyred while working in the tunnels. Today we're paying too much for the tunnels. I say that this creativity of the resistance will be developed more and more, as it is part of the war with which we will face our enemy. In addition to the high material costs, digging a single tunnel is very expensive with regard to the modest financial capabilities of the resistance. It requires large quantities of steel and cast iron, as well as reinforced concrete as internal tunnel linings, and these materials are prevented by Israel from entering the besieged Gaza Strip.